Now that's a coffee, a caramel macchiato. Mmm. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, March the 20th, 2023, vlog number 308. And so let's get right into what I've been working on. And as you can see right here, I have finished my, what do you want to call it, table runner napkin placemat set. This is going to be a gift for my brother out west when I go out to visit him next month. And one thing led to another. I did the table runner, and you've seen that before. And I thought, it needs matching placemats and napkins. So I went ahead and made those. And quite frankly, it took me a while, and I'm glad it's done. Here's another picture close up of just one of the placemats and one of the napkins. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I think they'll look really good together, and I hope they like the color scheme. It's a little different kind of color scheme for probably most people's house decors, but I like bright, bold, and beautiful. So for me, I wouldn't mind these colors, but we'll see how they like them. Well, hopefully they'll like them. If they don't like them, I hope they're kind enough not to say that until I'm not in hearing position, or in the room, so to speak. So that's what I've been working on there. And let's see, that takes me right into YouTube channel of the week. Now, we know here in Canada and around the world, the situation going on in the Ukraine with Russians, the war, the whole thing, and many of those people are coming here as refugees to our country, to Canada. And there's all kinds of programs set up, charity things to help these people out, get them accommodation, get them, in the necessities of life, help them find jobs, all that kind of thing. Well, there is a YouTube channel that I have reviewed many times before in bits and pieces called Curiosity Inc. And he is a person who basically collects old things, old antiques, goes in, cleans out old houses for people, sells what he buys. It's his business kind of a thing. Well, in his area, he had some refugee families coming to live, and they had basically nothing. So he had a whole bunch of furniture he had just cleaned out of one of the houses that he had bought up, and he donated that to these families to get them started. He also started a GoFundMe to raise some money so these people would have some, cash to get them through until they get a job and get their feet firmly planted in Canadian society, which is a great thing. But he did do an episode where he talked with or interviewed one of the refugees, and it is something I think you need to see because it really does put in perspective for us, what these people are going through. For us as Canadians, we are very lucky to have the country that we do have and to be in the situation that we're in. Yes, I know there's lots of things we can complain about happening in our own country, but they almost seem not worth complaining about once you hear the story of a Ukraine refugee. So I'm just going to put my little review of that segment here for you. And if you're interested, you may want to go to the link and check the entire segment out for yourself. This week's YouTube channel of the week is not actually a channel, but it is a clip, a very moving and touching clip that comes from a YouTube channel that I have reviewed in the past called Curiosity Inc. And Curiosity Inc. Is a channel where the creator of it actually talks about his adventures in antiquing and in buying up old homes and the contents of old homes and that kind of thing. But on this particular episode, he was featuring a refugee from Ukraine who has been taken in by the Canadian government, as we have been doing since the war began between Russia and the Ukraine, and how, well, you get an idea as to what the people from the Ukraine are going through and what they are trying to escape from. And it is very heart-wrenching when you hear this lady's story in this video. And it really puts into perspective just how horrible things are over in the Ukraine right now. I mean, we have a sense of it from the news, but really this is a first-person perspective here. So I thought this was an excellent video. It really does, put it in perspective for us as to how lucky we are in this part of the world. So I strongly suggest that you check this video out. So as I said, the link for that particular segment is in the show notes below. There's also a link for Sew with Stephanie and Stephen. We're doing this on a regular basis now, every Wednesday morning starting at 9 a.m. Length of it really depends on, what else I may have on during the day or what Stephanie has on during the day. Lately, it's been running until about noon. Don't know if that's always going to be the case, but it'll probably usually run for at least an hour and a half. And it's a come and go kind of thing. It's very much like Craft and Chat, except I'm doing in collaboration with Stephanie Stitches. So the link for that's in the show notes below. There's also a link, if you haven't seen it already, for the spring retreat announcement, mine, the Idiot Quilter Spring Retreat 2023. And I'm going to say more about the retreat, give you some updates later on in today's program. There is also a link for the past week's edition of the Idiot Quilter and So Chatty as well. So that takes me to what's happening outside my window today. And here we are. What's going on is, I'm just checking my sound settings to make sure everything's working. Yes, it is. Here's what's going on outside my window. And you can see that the snow is receding. Hopefully we won't have any more. This is the last day of winter at the time of recording this. It's March the 20th. Tomorrow's the official calendar date anyways for the first day of spring. And we're waiting for it. We want it to come along. Now, it isn't particularly warm today. It's -3 right at this moment in time. That's Celsius. Could we have more snow? Yes, we could. I don't know what's in the long-range forecast. I'm really, really hoping that spring will have sprung by the time I get on a plane in Toronto to fly out to Vancouver, and I'm hoping it has sprung out there as well. Usually, although who knows with climate warming these days, usually Vancouver, BC, Vancouver area, BC, where I'm going to, usually has spring-like weather before we do here in Ontario. I hope that's the case when we go out there then. It would be really nice to be able to walk around in at least short sleeve shirts. Don't know if that's going to happen, but nothing we can do about the weather. We just have to wait and see. But this is what it's like here right now. So this is promising. It's beginning to start to feel like warmer weather may be on the horizon. Okay, so that takes me to page flip. Next page. What's pissing me off this week? Well, I was just mentioning about flying to Vancouver. Yes, it is the chaos of the airports and the airlines. Let's face it, it's like spinning the big wheel of fortune here as to how smoothly your trip is going to go when you're taking a plane, right? Use my words. I'm a little worried. We haven't flown since before the pandemic. And of course, we've heard all about the chaos in the airports, the lineups, the mix-ups, the delays of flights, the whole bit, lost luggage, you name it. It's just chaotic. Is it getting any better? Don't really know. You watch the news. Of course, you don't know what to believe when you hear it on the news. Like one person may have lost their luggage, but suddenly it's a disaster. So you're really not sure how bad things are. Right now is not a good time to be gauging how well the airports are working. Well, maybe it is a good time to gauge that because this is the end of, today the kids are back in school. March break was last week. Everybody made the grand exodus to warmer climates. They showed on TV the traditional huge lineups at the airport and the chaos that happens with those. And it's like the airports can't handle any of the major holiday times, Christmas, Easter, New Year's, March break, all that kind of stuff. You would think they've been doing it now for quite a few years. Really? They'd have it down pat? They don't. What do the airports blame it all on? Oh, well, COVID. How long are we going to use that excuse for things? Everybody blames COVID when things aren't going the way they are. It's not COVID's fault. It's inefficiency. It's human problems. It's human error. Let's suck it up, Buttercup. That's what it is. So I think the best way when it comes to traveling in this uncertain climate, with the way the airlines run or don't run, is to plan for contingencies, or have a contingency plan, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So we have a contingency plan. First of all, with the way they delay flights or change flights around, we are not flying to the airport on the day of our flying to the airport, driving to the airport on the day of our flight. We have a hotel room right next to the airport for the night before. That gives us lots of time to get to the airport in lots of time. And then, if things are changing, we'll be there. We'll be on top of that. Well, that's not something we're doing special for this trip. We do that for every trip, usually, that we go on. I find it very stressful to fly. Not once I'm in the airplane, because by then, yeah, you're going somewhere. You're up there. It's the airports. The airport, especially Toronto Pearson, it sucks. It's really bad as an international airport. Looks nice inside if you're going out of the international terminal, but it sucks. And the people that work there suck. I'm sorry if you're someone that works at an airport, but you do. Oh yeah, I know you personally probably don't suck, but it's the conglomeration of you all, the aggregate there. And I know your job, there's pressures put on you from your bosses and everybody else. And yeah, I know. But then again, maybe you need to find another job if you can't handle that one, given, the situation. I feel for you. I do. But when I've paid big money for a flight, you work for me. I don't work for you. And the airlines and the airport seem to have forgotten that. So, yeah, so that's my one plan. Stay in a hotel the night before. My other plan is a little device I'm going to talk about later that I bought that we're going to put in our baggage. They're called Apple AirTags. You've probably heard about them. They're basically a tracking device. So I can track with my phone where our suitcases are, especially if they don't show up when they're supposed to show up. I think it will just give us an edge when we have to go and bitch about that. I'm hoping we don't, okay? But given the current situation, it seems that that's pretty much the routine now. You arrive, your suitcase doesn't. So hopefully this will give us a little bit of an edge, negotiation thing, hello, my suitcase is here, according to my phone and my AirTag. So don't tell me you don't know where it is. I know where it is. Get it. Kind of a thing. What other plans? Well, that's about all you can do, really. Oh, and yes, when it comes to packing, I anticipate that I won't see my suitcase. So anything in my suitcase will be stuff that I can replace easily. In other words, underwear and socks. Okay? And maybe a pair of pants or shirt. I can always go to a store at my destination and buy some new clothing. Okay? My electronic devices, my medication, anything that's really important to me that I can't easily replace, that's going into my carry-on. And that's another thing that really drives me nuts. And this is the fault of the airlines. They charge for every bag, pretty much, that you're going to check. And it's not cheap. It's part of their nickel and diming policy, where they eke out as much money from you as they possibly can. So people don't want to pay that. And they bring on what they call carry-ons. They are not carry-ons. They are suitcases. there's a little rack that sits up by where, the check-in desk kind of a thing. And it says, you can use it to check to make sure your carry-on is truly a carry-on, the right size. Nobody uses it. And they don't use it because basically their carry-on won't fit in it, which means it's a suitcase. But the peeve I have with the airlines is, one, if you weren't charging for it, two, if people thought they were going to get their luggage when they got to their destination, and three, if you enforced it. There wouldn't be this problem where you get on the airplane and people are cramming these suitcases into the overhead storage compartments, and one suitcase is taking up a whole section. So people are scrambling, trying to find a place close to where they're sitting where they can put their carry-on. And there's no place for them. What I do is, I know that's going to happen. I never store anything in the overhead. I have a carry-on bag that fits very nicely under the seat ahead of you, which is an official storage area. Everything that I take with me, I plan to fit into that and can get it in underneath the seat. I don't have to worry about the overhead or anything like that. People are also, this is another problem that has nothing to do, well, it does have something to do with the airlines. Basically, they've set this situation up, okay, with the charging of checked luggage and all that kind of stuff, and not enforcing, the size of the carry-on. But, it's also the mentality of people. People, when they get to an airport, something says already in their head, me, 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 me. They don't care about anybody else. They push their way onto the airplane when they all say, okay, now seating rows, blah, 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 blah. And they're right in there. Before they even make the announcement, they're right in there. Have you ever tried to, we stay seated until they call our section. And then we get up into the line. We have booked our seats ahead. So, it's not like our seat won't be there. Well, that's a topic for another day too. Another nickel and dimer. You pay extra to pick your seat. And sometimes it happens that even though you paid for that, for some reason that seat's not available. That's happened too. Yeah, I paid for this, my seat. Okay. Unless you want to upgrade me to business class, ooh, I don't have a problem with that. Has never happened. It's always been a dream. But anyways, I digress. But these people get in the line and they're right in there. Why? Because they want to get their carry-on into an overhead bin that's close to where they're sitting. And it's just chaos and turmoil. And all of this gives me stress. I would not fly if I could get to certain destinations in the world by another means. But, going to Europe, how long can you hold your breath? You can't drive there, can you? Take the slow boat? I don't think so. So, yeah, we're kind of stuck, aren't we, for that kind of thing. Even traveling in my own country, yes, you could drive, but it's going to take you a while. From Ontario to BC is 5,000 kilometers. It's going to take you a while driving. So, yeah, we're forced to take this, modern means of transportation. But anyways, once the plane is in the air, I kind of relax. Kind of, because now Walter and I are deciding, are we going to wear our masks during the flight or not? I know a lot of people don't, but then they've got that whole recycled air thing happening in there. And yes, we're all caught up on all our vaccinations for COVID. I don't know. So I'm just hoping that next month, when we get on the plane to go to Vancouver, that I don't get off the plane in Vancouver and have lost what's left of my hair and look like I've been in the trenches in a war. Yeah. So we shall see. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, I guess. Okay, so that takes me to new product, and I already just mentioned these, the air tags. And oops, just let me find the section here that I've got the air tags on. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Now, I bought these on Amazon. You can buy them from the Apple Store, But I checked the price for 4 of them. This is a 4-pack on the Apple Store, the Canadian outlet, and they were exactly the same price as Amazon. So I figured I'd go with Amazon because, next day delivery with Prime, so no shipping. And Apple doesn't charge shipping either, but you have to sign for anything that comes from Apple. It means you got to be around, and so you're never absolutely sure when that's going to show up. So I got these from Amazon, and they're just little discs. They're battery powered. They take a CR2032 battery, and that's included in each one. And those batteries are very, very easy to get, the disc batteries. Supposedly, I checked this out. If you use them 4 times every day, they would last you a year off on the battery, it says. And chances are you're not going to be using them that often. As I said, these are what I'm going to put in my suitcase. They work with your phone. And it basically is a homing device. It shows you where whatever thing that you have this attached to, where it's located. So, as I said earlier, for my suitcase, this is going to be a way for us to track it. Now, another thing that we bought to go along with it, because, with Apple things, there's always accessories, and you always have to buy them separately. Nothing's included with Apple. Everything is, that's another company that basically kills you with nickel and diming you to death. I need something to hold them in because they're just a little disc. So there are fobs. And so I bought a little, what they call AirTag silicone case. This is what they look like. They look like a keychain kind of fob. They're silicone, they're rubber. Little disc just slips right into them, and then you have the ring that you can attach to whatever you want to attach it to. So I bought that as well. I've been playing with them, seem to work very well. So yeah, so that's my new toy for the week. Okay. Let's see here. What's next? Oh, grow lights. And speaking of things new that we bought, Walter bought another grow light, like the one that we hang up. We already have one of those, and then we have the 2 that come with their own stand, sort of a thing. And I'm just looking for my picture here of that. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. So we have this corner of our workshop that Walter set up as our little grow op here. And there's our tomato plants and our pepper plants. But you'll notice there's a difference in height. The tomato plant is the tall one, and just above that is the light itself. And the light is adjustable. There's a little cord. You can see the cord that's running down here in the foreground. That's on a pulley system, so the light can go up and down to adjust the height. Problem is, the pepper plants are a shorter plant, and you need to have the light a little bit closer to them. So Walter bought a second one of these. He figures he can configure that area so both lights can be there, and so one can be lower, one can be higher. Yeah, we're really getting into this in a major way. And just to show you, there you can see peeking around there, we've got some little green tomatoes. They're not huge yet, but every day they're getting bigger, and there's more coming on. The plant has flowered, and once it's flowered, you usually get your fruit. You get your tomatoes. So yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is that these tomatoes will get to, these are a cherry tomato kind of thing, so they're not huge beefsteak, that they'll all come ripe while we're out in Vancouver, and they'll rot on the vine. We're going to make arrangements for Walter's niece to come in every so many days and check the plants and that kind of thing while we're gone. So that should be looked after. Now here's the other pots. This is grow light, what I call grow light number 2. We have cleaned out some of the tomato plants are in here, and these are more green pepper plants, which eventually we're going to have to transplant over to a bigger pot. And some of our lettuce. The lettuce is getting at the point now, this is sort of a second growth. We have been eating it, and it's great, but we're going to need to plant a little bit more. You can see here, this one, it's got some sprouts coming up, though, on it. We read somewhere that you should just take the outside leaves off, leave the core, and that the plant will regenerate. I don't know how many times it will regenerate. I think it'll only do it a second time. But anyways, we've got more of it though growing in here. Walter planted some more seeds. And this is grow light number 1. And you'll notice we cleaned out all of the herbs and things. It was a real jungle. We still have some chives, and there's some green onions in there too, back in here. I don't know how well they're going to do. This is a little bit more lettuce, but Walter has planted more lettuce in this one, and I think he planted more lettuce in this one. And this one he's got some herbs in. This will be basil. We decided to cut back. We're not growing parsley because we don't really use the parsley. Parsley does really well, though. If you want something that looks really nice and green, parsley's the creature for it because it grows like a weed. Probably is a weed. But, you know, tarragon and oregano. Now, he may have put in some more oregano, but we didn't use the tarragon, and we don't use that much oregano. You know, but the basil, fresh basil, I really like. I like to throw basil leaves in with the salad and things like that. So, yeah, it's coming along quite nicely, and we're learning as we go with it. So, yeah. Okay, so that takes me to my 3D corner. So I'm still working on my little gifties and things that are gnome theme, like my gnome scrap bag holders and things like that. They're coming along very nicely. 3 printers going 24/7, but I had a little problem with one of the printers. There is something on the printer called a thermal runaway. What that is if the machine is running too hot, this avoids a fire. It shuts the machine down. Now, I was having a problem with one of the machines. The thermal runaway was coming on frequently. So I figured, okay, there's a little device that detects the level of heat that goes through what they call the hot end, called a thermistor. Thermistor is just a couple of wires attached to a little glass bulb, little tiny thing, and it goes inside the hot end, and it monitors basically the temperature. Like when you program in something to print, it prints at a certain temperature, and so the machine has to heat up to that temperature, and the thermistor sends back the data to the circuit board and says, okay, yeah, it's at the right temperature, or no, it's not yet, and lets it know, and then it can do its little thing and start its printing. So I figured the thermistor has gone, and I have a pile of those. They're very inexpensive. I buy them by a package of 10, and they're easy to replace. So yesterday I was all prepared to, you know, open up the hot end, replace the thermistor, and go on. But in the process of doing it, I realized I had a loose wire to the thermistor. So I thought, oh, that's why it's going off. It's basically not connected. So took me 2 seconds to fix that little problem up, and it's been running fine now. So that was easy. So I didn't really have to replace the thermistor itself. So that's a good thing. So if you're a 3D printer, the person who wants to get into this or just starting out, this is something that's important. Make sure that your system, and most of them come with them. I run Corelity Enders, and they all come built into them is the thermal runaway. It is a very good safeguard, because in the early days of 3D printing, apparently some people had fires because there wasn't this safeguard built into them at that time. Okay, so that takes me to Blasts from the Past trips. This is the continuation of our very first trip to New Zealand and Australia, which was a cruise. And this is New Zealand sites on December 10th and 11th of 2016. So where's this that we're going to? This is Taronga. We're about to port, I guess, whatever you call it, land. Very rugged looking area. Very pretty though. And this is being taken from the balcony of our room. It's about almost 10 o'clock in the morning. This is the other side of that. Yeah, Turanga. Yeah, I know. Um, this is the other side of this big, whatever that is, hill, mountain, whatever. This is the city right here. We didn't take a walking tour. We're on something else today. Very pretty. Okay, so this is some place called Rotorua, we think. That's how you say it. Not really sure. And this is called the Blue Baths that were here, I guess, in the early part of the 1900s. There's a public bath mineral kind of thing. And we just had some scones and sandwiches inside this place. And right now, we're about to get back on the bus, but we're just looking around the grounds of this. I'm taking us here on a little bit of a 360-degree turn. It's Saturday, so there's lots of people here. It's very popular, I guess. This is a museum, and actually it's closed right now because it was damaged during the earthquakes that happened here about 3 weeks ago or so. So they having to do some repairs on before they let the public back in. Now this is a hot springs pool on here, and good thing we don't have smell-o-vision because this smells like sulfur. It smells like rotten eggs, actually. I don't think they use it anymore, but at one time they probably did, and it's very hot and very steamy. And this is some more of the hot springs. There's geothermal waters. You can see them kind of bubbling up here. And a great smell of sulfur. Take a mug there.
Yeah.
This is a mud pool, largest one in New Zealand.
Is it?
If we can reach it around now. On the other side of the bridge, I don't think we need to do anything about the side. But whilst you're on the bridge, take plenty of photos while the guys are right.
Tourists are always going to give you a lovely friendly wave and a smile back. Yeah, most of the locals have been stuck behind this thing at some point. So they're either not going to wave back at all, or they're going to wave back in this really sort of specific, sort of not so friendly way.
Very yesterday.
Either way though,
Yeah.
pretty funny to see, believe me. So if you feel the need to quack at some people, do so as we go along. But this is also a history-based tour today. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask on the way or to the best of my ability, and there it is. What do you reckon? Top speed. This is the part where you chant. That's way better than the reaction I was hoping for, to be honest. I honestly believe I could take this duck up to outer space and drop it, and that probably won't get us to the speed limit. But hey, we try, right? You gotta give us some credit. But just while we are on this main road, you can hear the duck is a wee bit noisier. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes break on the commentary. Welcome to the Blue Lakes, as we're officially a boat. Just like that. Now, well down, the rules change. Please stay on board. That would be great. And number two, please don't all move to the same side of the duck at the same time. I think these are pretty fair requests, right? But aside from that, I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes, take in the sights, take a few photos, take in, get used to being a boat, make some systems.
We're almost down in the bottom. Okay, so today we are doing the luge up this mountain in Rotorua, and it was kind of neat. We went to the top and had lunch up there, which was really good, and we took a gondola up there, and now we've come down this track. You can see it down here. See if there's, I think there's one coming. You can see what it looks like. I hear it. There it is. And it winds all the way around the hill here, and then you get this chairlift, and you've got this luge thing attached to the bottom of your chairlift. It takes you back up to the top of the hill, and you can come down again if you want to pay for it or whatever. I'm only doing it once, but it's quite an experience. So we just got back from our tour today, and we're just sitting here now on our balcony. We've had some little open-faced sandwiches for hors d'oeuvres, and we're cracked open our bottle of champagne that they gave us when we first got on board, and we're having a little chocolate with the champagne as well. This is our $3 chocolate bars from the Countdown Market, that Whitaker stuff. This is chili. What's this one? Chili pepper and
Oh, on the front. Okay.
well, anyways, it's got chili pepper and it's actually quite good. But anyways, this is cruise. And that takes me to events in the past week. We did have a special pop-up sew day on this past Saturday. It was in honor of one of my friend's birthdays, Jan. And if you're a regular on the pop-up sew days or on Stephen and Walter Live and that, you know who Jan is. It was Jan's birthday. And for her birthday, Jan wanted a pop-up sew day, so we had a pop-up sew day. It was a great day. I got a lot done. Other people, I think, got a lot done. We had record-breaking numbers on that day. We had 30 at the height of it, which is really, really good. And it was a lot of fun. It always is. And you always learn something from it. So when's the next pop-up sew day? I have no idea. But if you want to know when the next one is going to be, and you would like advance notice of the pop-up sew day, then just drop me your name and your email address. Send it to my email address, and I'll be more than happy to add you to the mailing list. So that happened. What else happened last week? Nothing. Really, nothing more. But what's coming up? Okay. We have Sew with Stephanie and Stephen. That happens every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. All are welcome to join us for about an hour and a half or more of just sew time. Kind of like a pop-up sew day. Doesn't usually run the full day. It usually ends by anywhere between 10:30 and noon. It all depends on what Stephanie and I have on that day, whether we carry on with it a little longer. But we usually plan for it to run from about 9 to 10:30 as well. And as I said, all are welcome, and the Zoom link for that, it is a Zoom. It's not a YouTube live. It's a Zoom. The link's in the show notes for that. Now, the retreat, May 6th. I know it's still a ways away. I put the announcement out a week ago. Last Monday, I put out the announcement and I opened up registration. Wow. Have I ever had a response to this, which absolutely pleases me. Right now, as I'm making this recording, we have 83 people registered for the retreat for May the 6th. Now, we're still on March the 20th. That means I can accommodate 92, 93 people. It means I've got 10 spots left. So, if you've been sitting on the fence, make a decision. I just registered 3 more people this morning. When I got up and checked my email, they were there. So I'm anticipating that by the end of this week, anyways, if not sooner, all the spots will be filled. Now, don't despair if you've missed out on getting a spot. Still, send me an email saying you'd like to be registered, and I will put your name, if there aren't any spots available, I will put your name on a waiting list. And the way I do the waiting list, which I've already explained in the video, and if you haven't seen that video, there's a link for it here that talks about the retreat. How I do that is when it comes in to me, I put your name on the waiting list, and I do it in the order that I get those requests. So if somebody down the road before May the 6th suddenly has a change in plans and cannot come to the retreat, and I ask you if that is the case for you, please send me an email as soon as you know, because what happens is I will open up that spot and take the first name on my list and put them in there, and then I'll send you a confirmation saying, yep, you're no longer on the waiting list. You're in. You've got a spot for the retreat. So that's how that works. Now, maybe I started this a little early, but the reason I did was because I have found that usually it takes people a while to make up their mind. And I like to get things rolling, especially because in the middle of April, I'm going away for 2 weeks, and I only have 1 week when I return back from BC until the actual retreat. I don't want to be scrambling at the last minute. So that's why I put it out a little earlier. I didn't really expect that I was going to get this many people that quickly. So that's great. I'm really pleased with that. So as I've said, if you've been sitting on the fence, make up your mind, make it up quick for this. If you want to make sure you guarantee a spot for the retreat. Okay. So that's about it. For me, nothing else to tell you or share with you for this week. Tune in tomorrow for the Idiot Quilter. I'm going to be talking about some other projects I'm working on and other things as well. And we will probably be doing, for those of you that were part of the collaborative, the sew along that Stephanie and I did a month ago with the Stargazer quilt, we are going to be showing the quilts that have been sent to us. We're going to actually today we're going to make the little video for that, and then we'll be posting it. I'm posting that video on my channel tomorrow. I'm not sure when Stephanie is posting it on hers, but it'll probably be sometime early this week as well. So if you're one of the people who have sent in a quilt, that's where you're going to get to see that, and we're going to talk about your quilt a little bit. Don't worry, we're not going to be critical. We're not quilt police. Okay. So that's tomorrow on Idiot Quilter, and tail end of the week will be So Chatty, and then we're Stephen and Walter live. So, and I do have an interview this week too, but if you want to know about that, then check out the Idiot Quilter episode tomorrow. Okay, I hope you have a great week. I hope you have fun. It's creative. Everything else and everything goes well for you. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.